Perfect. Broadcaster, we're going live. Good morning. My name is Ace Talk. I'm the winner of the World Motivational Speaker Competition 2019. I'm a radio presenter and a TV presenter. I present a business community entrepreneur show every week, and I've also launched a TV show called A Philly Show. Due to the current corona epidemic, we've been doing live broadcasts, shout out to MediaNet TV, every single day, 11 a.m. And me and my special guests are just alleviating some of the public spheres, as well as asking some of the questions that need to be asked. Because as far as I'm concerned, is it just me or is the world gone mad? I feel like I've woken up in an episode of 28 days later. Do you know what I mean? And as we know, common sense is not common anymore. So Ace Scott, we've been asked all week, we've been covering various different elements of the coronavirus. Earlier on the week, we covered the pandemic, and we looked at the numbers and just really examined how serious is it. And for those that missed that show, go back, you can check it out on MediaNet TV, on the YouTube channel. You can also find it on Ace Scott Talk on the YouTube channel. But that was a brilliant show because we really dissected the numbers and just put your mind to rest and made you, the public, aware that this epidemic is nothing to be worried about. Today, joining me, I have not one, but two doctors. I'm going to be joined by Dr. Judy Joseph from the African National Cultural Center, and I'm also going to be joined by an award-winning radio presenter. He's been voted the most informative radio presenter for the last 20 years, and he goes by the name of the Doctor. And before we get started, I want to warn you guys, this man is a serial researcher and a journalist. He's also got an extensive background working in laboratories. So I have two of the most qualified doctors joining me today. Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for joining me.
Yes, greetings, my brother. It's a pleasure. Right, we're back, Doctor. Good to see you.
Namaste. Namaste. We back. Dr. Judy, namaste to you, my brother. Namaste to you, Ace Scott Talk.
God bless you, my brothers. God bless you. Today, I'm not gonna. Usually we kind of warm things up a little bit, you know, and then after we warm things up, we start hitting them with the knowledge, you know. Today I wanna put the gas down a little bit and just go a little bit harder. You know, let's not play too much today, because I think we spent all week giving them the basics. You know, now it's time to go up a degree. So at the end of the last call I had with Dr. Judy Joseph, we just tipped on to the last 5-10 minutes a little. We touched on the God conversation, and for those that was streaming live, the comments started coming in rapid, you know, and a few sisters really wanted us to get our teeth into it. So we promised them that we would come back and we would touch on the God conversation. So I titled today's show, you know, where is your God now? You know, and I highlighted on the social medias something the brother Vibes Master, aka the Doctor, highlighted to me in a call this week. He said that Rome, you know, the Pope comes from Rome, you know, and the Pope hasn't even come out and said, well, God's spoken to me, and you know, I've got the answer, you know, and so I mean, what's your feelings on what's going on out there, and how does God, if there is a God, how does God tie into all of this?
So, are you addressing that to me or to the doctor?
I'm going to start with you, Dr. Jude.
Okay. Who are you addressing the question to?
Both of you. Either one of you, feel free to start. I just wanted to highlight as well. It's the same. I mean, as well as the Muslims who, no disrespect to our Muslim brothers, but they believe in Allah. You know, today is Jummah. Today is a day of prayer where Muslims should be gathering in the mosque and praying. And they've been told by Boris Johnson, you can't go to the mosque. You know, this is a Christian country, you know, and churches are closed. So my question is, who's more powerful? I'm asking this question to both of you. Who's more powerful, Boris Johnson or God?
Right. So first of all, I want to just thank you, and I want to thank the audience.
I'll take it first. No worries. First and foremost, you're comprehending.
Okay, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
I think there's a start time delay with Vibes' internet, which might cause a bit of problems.
Right. So shall I carry on?
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, so I was just saying, yeah, thank you for inviting me on your show once again, and the fact that we have tools that we can you know what I mean, still communicate and still reach out to the family. As always, I always give praise and thanks to the ancestors who guide me, especially my mentor, the great Malachi Z. York, which, you know, we'll go into a bit later on. But yeah, in terms of, is there a God? What is God? You have to realize here that we're speaking English. That's the first problem. When you speak English, that means that you're basically going by the definitions or of whoever is giving you that language. So when you use words like God, is there a God, etc., you have to realize already you're at a disadvantage, because you have to then go into the languages and go to the languages that they say came before and break the word down there. So a lot of people who only speak English, and I'm not saying don't use English, because we're still using English, and you have to have a thorough understanding of the English language as well. So when we say the word God, you have to do the research and find out what's the origin of that word. And, you know, depending on which route you take to do that research, you know, you can go to the Greek, you can go to the, what they call Hebrew, you can go to the Arabic, and languages predating those as well, all the way back to, you know what I mean, what people will call the hieroglyphics, or, you know what I mean, the cuneiform or cuneiform. So it's important to realize language plays a big part. So what we will do is actually help and break down some of these English words, which, you know, most people don't even, out of ignorance, don't really understand what they're really saying, because they're saying it in English. Now, the other point I'd make is this. My mentor, the great master Malachi, put out a series of books called the God series years ago. And it's funny, the title you have here for the show, there's a scroll here. Most people that are familiar with the doctrine will see that this book called What is God Doing for You? This is part of the God series. You got this one, Does God Help His Own? Because the question you're posing has already been answered in a lot of these scrolls. What I said before, you know, people misinterpret God. So you got that scroll there, God Misinterpreted. These are little small scroll, yeah, that are kind of digestible. But they go back over 20, 30 years ago. Yeah, what is God's language? As I said, language is very important. Is God a wimp? I remember when this scroll came out, a lot of people were like tripping, because you're saying God is a wimp. Well, you're not saying that, you're asking the question. So those are just a few books from the God series which cover this subject intensely. Yeah, so there is God, or gods with an S, and obviously depending on your background and where you're coming from, God will mean different things to different people. Like you said in the last show, I posed that question to you about why the Pope didn't come out, and then I went into as far as saying, you know what I mean, extraterrestrials are involved. And this is another scroll from back in the day that was put out, is God and extraterrestrial. So the subject is very wide, and we left off on the whole Jesus topic, right? Again, you see there, Jesus found in Egypt. I'm just touching on some of these scrolls because when you do your research, you come across a plethora of information, a plethora of like knowledge, and we've got over 1,000 books. Let me just show you one more, because like you said, we're going to go straight in today, yeah, the degree of Christism. Now this is a thick book. Yeah, as you can see, this goes in. So yeah, we've got a lot of information, and it's how we're going to, I guess, manufacture it or palette it for the people that are listening. And before I let someone else come in and say something, we have to also make it clear that we're not here to badger people, put their gods down. We're just giving the facts. And this show is really for people that want to, do you know what I mean, really know and take the time out to do the research and not take our word for it, or not my word anyway. As we always say, truth is truth. And that's basically it. So yeah, we can go in deep, but I think it'll be nice if it's based around questions as well, because then it kind of makes it easy to focus our discussion.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant intro, my brother. And I like the fact that you said right at the end there that we're not here to badger people. We're just here to put the information out there for those that are in search of knowledge, of a higher understanding. So God bless you, my brother. Ankh Master, aka Vibes Master, my brother. I'm gonna ask you the same question. Who is God and where is your God now?
Namastu. Can you hear me? I hope you all can hear me loud and clear. We bow to the divine or to the divinity within you. Namastu to all at MediaNet Live. Namastu, we say to A. Scott Talk for hosting this forum. Namastu to my good brother, Dr. Judy Joseph. As I said, I hope you can all hear us. It's a great day and time whereby technology is connecting us as we're inside some self-isolation, or is it self-imprisonment? Yeah, depending on your mindset. That's how we are at this present time. In regards to the question that you asked, as Dr. Jude Joseph said, it's very important to comprehend and understand the language that we speak in order to know the mind that was delivering the word of so-called God. Now, God is not a name, it's a title, first and foremost, yeah? And in terms of a title for the Most High Heavenly One, who we know as Anne Ray, in terms of a title, that title is only recent or modern, because the word God, from you look at it from its etymological standpoint and view, so Germanic word meaning gut or meaning to invoke. Many of our Christian brothers and sisters are not aware of the word God. And as Dr. Judy Joseph says, we're not badgering anybody about their God, but we must address the truth and we must address the facts. And the English language is a language of technology, being that English, one word, have many different meanings. So therefore, when you're looking at a word in English, you tend to look and see that these words are having different meaning. Meaning number one, meaning number two, meaning number three, meaning number four, meaning number five. In fact, you can go to a word like set, which is said to have over 400 meanings. Now, the important part to comprehend and understand that word God is only a recent interpretation coming from around the 6th century. That's when the word God came about. That title means to invoke. What are you trying to invoke when you use that word God? Hopefully you partake in this debate and ask that question so we can give you the answers. But in regards to the Germanic word, because many people are unaware that the language that we speak, which is English, is in fact a West Germanic language in the school of, or the science of linguistics. The science of linguistics is the science of language. And that word God is a Germanic word, because English is part of the West Germanic dialect, as is Dutch, as is Old Norse, as is German. Many people are unaware of that. And then now under linguistic science of language, under the linguistic branch of languages, the English language, which is a West Germanic dialect, is called an Indo-European language. What does the word Indo-European mean? The word Indo-European means Indian languages spoken by Europeans. I'll say that again because it's very important. The English language is in fact a dialect, which is a West Germanic dialect. And when you examine and analyze and study that West Germanic dialect in the School of Linguistics, the English language is an Indo-European language. Indian language is by Europeans. And our Baba or Basesh or teacher of the Holy Coptic Church of the makes it very clear that it's very important that we go to the etymology of words and look at words from their origins and where they come from. So this is why whenever we study anything that is called scripture, or anything that is pertaining to God, like your Holy Bible, like your Holy Garun, like your Tefillim, like your coming forth by day, we make sure that we dissect each and every single word to comprehend what the authors were truly trying to convey and the message that they were trying to convey in relation to the topic of God. But God does not mean the same thing to each and every single one of us. Each and every individual has their different interpretation. Yet your Ankh doctor is here to inform you and to let you know that that word God means to invoke. Please remember where you heard it from. Yeah. Also, as well, that word God, okay, pertains to a concept which originated with the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD and an emperor called Constantine, who was the first pope of what today we know is the Holy Roman Empire of the Catholic Church. I'll say that again, the Holy Roman Empire of the Catholic Church. That first pope was Constantine, and it is Constantine who defined the meaning of God as it stands today, which many of our Christian brothers and sisters use and utilize. Have we made ourselves clear? Does that make sense?
Absolutely, my brother. Absolutely. So shout out to everybody streaming live on the Facebook, and shout out to everybody streaming live on MediaNet TV. If you've got any comments, pop them in the comment box and we'll start answering them. Until that time, I want to direct a question to Dr. Judy Joseph, and I just want you to pick up where you left off because we're not going to play with it today. So you flashed a few books, right? And there was knowledge there. Let's just start to dissect. We know that just dissect the concept now of God.
Okay.
That as a concept.
Very, very good. Yeah, shout out to you. I can see you, Asar, Rahubat, Zamal. Rahubat to all the people that put in the comments on there. Yeah, we're going to look into addressing the comments as well. Yeah, so like I touched on the English, the language, and my brothers elaborated on that quite nicely. So when you study languages, especially what they call Semitic languages, or really Shemitic languages from the son of Noroshem, right? So what you find is that in the languages, the vowels, yeah, so, you know, like in English, we say A, E, I, O, U, those vowels are interchangeable. So when you put the word or the letters G, O, D, and like my brother said, it's dependent on what angle you're coming from, what school you're coming from, that word God will mean different things to you. So if you take the G-O-D and you replace the O with another vowel, say A, you get the word Gad, right? And Gad is one of these beings. Now, like you say, today, we can give the high level stuff, but we got to go in a bit deeper. So going in deeper, basically, I'm going to put anything I put out that most people might not be familiar with, I'm going to put it in the private chat so you can research it. So when you're dealing with these beings, you have to realize anything on this planet or this atmosphere is composed of DNA and RNA, right? So I'm going to put a word. There's a word called Denisovan. That's Denisovan. I'll put it in the chat as well.
D-E-A-I-S.
Yep, O-V-A-N.
O-V-A-N, yep.
I've posted it in the comments. Yeah. So if you do some research, I mean, we're living in a real-time world now, so you can go on Google right now or whatever and do your research. You'll find out that this is now known that the ancient humanoids bred with unknown species, right? And they uncovered this. The word I've just put on Dennis Oven. It's a group of this was first discovered in Siberia, in the Middle East in 2010. So this is not that long ago, 2010 AD, yeah? And they found that in the DNA contains link to unknown DNAs, right? So when you start to talk about these religions, you have to realize that these religions are what we call Abrahamism, or the patriarch of the most monotheistic religions, whether it's Christianity, Islam, or Judaism. They go back to Abraham. Now you have to know who Abraham was, and Abraham was, his father's name is Terah, if you follow the Bible or the scriptures, if you've done any research. And these religions is what's become your Mosesism, your Jesusism, Mohammedism, Hinduism, Judaism, even Wiccanism, right? From Zoroastrianism. So when we're talking about gods, we're talking about these beings called the Anunnaki, or the Pleiadians, or Draconians, that came to this planet, right, and basically seeded some of the beings or grafted some of the beings that religious people are now calling your angels and your gods. Yeah, so we're dealing with extraterrestrials. Even if you just look at the Bible itself, you can look at the books of Daniel, the books of Ezekiel, the books of Revelations. You know, we can go into quotes as well, like that when Moses is following a burning bush, a bush that moves and stops and talks to him. When you look at these characters in the Bible, whether it's your Gabriel, who travels between time periods, yeah, all the way down to, you know, Malachi, and who people refer to as, like, again, remember I said about languages. So when you're saying Malachi, you're coming from like the Hebrew perspective. In the English, you would say Michael, yeah. In the Arabic, you say Mikael, yeah. And in, you know, you can go into the older languages, you say Murdoch in the Sumerian doctrine. It's the same being. So these beings are extraterrestrials that have been coming here back and forth, so much so that the story in Revelation 13, 12, and so forth, you can read it. It explains that Michael and his angels fought a war against the dragon and his angels, and they were cast down to this planet and they prevailed not. So we can go into Genesis, you know, 6:4 and so on. You talk about the Nephilims. All these beings are the beings in the Bible that people are calling gods. And depending on which one it is, depending on which culture you're coming from, like I said, whether it is Romans, Greeks, or whether it is Egyptians, Sumerians, Hindus, you will have a complete different perspective on who they're calling God and who that God is and what is he or she doing for them, because we like to say he. So how do we know he's a man? And when you say he, you're dealing with gender, back to what I'm saying about DNA. So I'm saying today, they're now going into the DNA, and this is evidence, this is fact, to deal with which species on the planet, whether it's black, white, Hindu, Indian, mixture, whether it is the mixtures of the two or what we call the sub-races. You have to go down to your DNA to find out who and what these gods are. And everyone on the planet has a derivative or an origin from their source. Yeah, so when we look at our race, we can trace our genealogy and our genetics back to our ancestors, all the way back to the stars, you know, like, you know, Orion, Sirius, etc. We can go right there. And this is what we're saying. Now, last point before I stop here is that religious people say God, and they, in fact, let's break down, like they will say God, and you say, who is God? They say God is in heaven and he has a son. To have a son, you have to have DNA and RNA to produce a physical being. So God is in heaven. Heaven where? When you say the word heaven, what does the word heaven mean? Right? You can go into Job 9:9 and you find that they're talking about constellation, the Pleiadians constellation or Taurus constellation. You can go to Amos 5:8. You can go into Job, I think 38:5. We can give you the quotes, right? These are for religious people who read these books, like to check out and do your research. So God lives in heaven. He sits on a throne. If he sits down, that means he's got a bottom. If he has a bottom, he can't just float around in heaven with a bottom. He has to have legs, a torso. So this being is a physical being. Yeah. So depending on who you're talking about, you can go to the Elohim. There's many names, and many different cultures have these different titles for, like my brother said, it's titles. You know, God is a person or someone who is in control. Like you made a very good point, Ace, when you said, you know what I mean? Like Trump just said that the mosque closed down and the people can't go to church. So which God is in control? Because a president is supposed to be less than a God. But yet he's coming and saying, shut down, lockdown. You can't go and pray to your God or to your, you know what I mean, your Jesus or Allah or whoever. So who has the power? But yeah, I hope I've touched on a few points. But like I said, you know, we can build as we go along.
You definitely did. I'm going to give Vibes a chance to touch on that point, and then I'm going to throw the next question out there. We're going to get a bit deeper. Vibes, do you want to touch on what Dr. Jude just said?
First, let's address somebody came into the chat room and said about Peter being the first pope, yeah, and they'd never heard of Constantine being that the first pope was Peter with regards to the clergy. Constantine was a ruler that embraced Christianity and then officially formed Catholicism, which is the main platform of the Abrahamic religions. Okay, yeah. So let's address this, because he then went on to say, all right, to say that Constantine was the first pope, I've never heard that before. Well, we're going to explain a few things like you've never heard before. Nobody had explained to the mass that the language that we're speaking is an Indian language spoken by Europeans. Nobody had ever explained that to you before. Okay, yeah. But if you go away and research that and look that up, you'll find out that what we're explaining to you is right and exact and actual fact, not fiction, not my opinion. That is the fact. In relation to when you talk about Peter being the first clergy, according to the scriptures, Peter formulated a church, but Peter never formulated and organized the church like Constantine, because Constantine, the emperor, he is the one who put the foundation in place to make the Roman Catholic Church what it is today, the richest organization on the planet Earth, and not only the richest organization on the planet Earth, Emperor Constantine also laid the foundation to make sure that the Roman Catholic Church is the authority for Christianity as it is taught to Nubian Melanites, African Caribbeans in the diaspora in the West today. I hope I've made myself clear. I hope and pray I've made myself very clear in clearing up Peter and Constantine. Yes, Peter was said to be the first to come forth with Christianity, but Peter did not organize Christianity in the way that Constantine has organized Christianity, so that today it is the most powerful and richest organization known on the planet Earth. There's a papal bull you may wish to look up, which explains that the Pope has the authority and entire rulership of all the domain of the planet Earth. He is seen as God's representative, or he is the self-appointed God representative for humanity on the planet Earth, according to those who follow modern Christianity today. It was Emperor Constantine who not only laid the foundation for the Roman Catholic Church, it was Emperor Constantine who formulated the Bible as it is today, deciding which books would be kept in the Latin Apocrypha Bible, of which you'll find there are 72 books. In the King James Bible, there are 66 books. The most books that a Bible has is the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which has 81 books. Our original ancient African Bible, I'll say this again, our original ancient African Bible had 297 books. As my brother Ace explains, do the maths. Okay, because when you're looking at the Bibles today, they have been severely edited. Therefore, being severely edited, they are misinterpreted. Therefore, being misinterpreted, many of our Nubian Mennonite people are misinformed. So what we at the Holy Coptic Church explain is that you have to take the African out of the Old Testament. You have to take the African out of the New Testament. You have to take the African out of the Quran. You have to take the African out of the Bhagavad Gita. You have to take the African out of all of these holy books, because it is the African cosmology and it is the African religion of atonism which gave birth to, wait for it, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Zoroastrianism, Shintoism, Hinduism, Buddhism. All of those came out of the original African spirituality, which is known and being brought forth to you today by the Holy Coptic Church as atonism. One of the books that we sell, which we have right here, is How Egyptian and Sumerian Realities Became the Bible's Mythologies. Now, Dr. Jude touched on the ancient names you'll find of our guardian angelic hosts. Our guardian angelic hosts being the Igigi, being the Natiru, being the Anunnaki, and also being the Nomos. May we take time out to send out our rise in power to Dr. Credo Mutwa, who was one of those who taught about the Nomos, meaning the lawgivers, as well as the Dogon tribe, so the Zulu tribe through Mutwa in South Africa and the Dogon tribe through Mali. We're teaching about our guardian angelic hosts, or the ancestors that are called the Nomos, who were the lawgivers, who came out of the waters of the earth when the entire planet Earth was covered in dust. Nobody could see the sand. It was the waters that gave birth to the life of humanity. And then we move on to the Anunnaki, those who came to earth in their 50s. These are the beings that were sent down here to earth that you hear about within Babylonian texts and the Sumerian texts with Mesopotamia.
I'm gonna pause you there because
can I just finish, please? Yeah. And now
start time delay. There seems to be a slight time delay, you know what I mean, with the technology, but I saw it. But well, I was just
sorry, that was me. I had my mic on mute. Sorry, I was saying that my brother made some good points, but I want to bring it back to the original topic of today's show, which is, I think you said something like, you know, what's God doing for you now? And well, like, we can talk about religion and so on. Sorry, go on. Yeah, I was saying, yeah. So, you know, we can debate and talk about knowledge and go round and round in circles, but at the end of the day, we have to come to today, yeah, and deal with facts and actual facts. It's not about the knowledge and the debates and who we know who we are, right? I think we have to focus on the situation at hand and who's the God, or if you're calling on a God, where is he now? Like, where's your God that's going to give you those answers and the information now? Not how great we are and how we're Anunnaki or how we're Egyptians and all of that. That's so nice. Yeah, we know that. But we're dealing with a situation right now. So we have to get with the practicality of how we deal with today and right now. That's really what the essence of today's show is about. It's not really about debating, because debating, everyone's got knowledge. Yeah, we know that. This is the thing with our community and, you know, the different groups. Everyone is talking about, you know, I have this and I have that knowledge and that information. Yes, we have a lot of people in the community, scholars, even if you want to go to the so-called conscious community. But when it comes down to it, right now, what is the solution? Like, I know who my God is, and I know what he's doing for me right now. So I want to know like, yeah, what is the solution? Where are we going? Because this thing here has just started, and it's not even gonna go away like that as quick as people think it's gonna go away. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I wanna touch on, right? So we have amongst us right now, yeah, a being that was sent to guide us and teach us and let us know what's going to be happening. I mean, we're going back years where he put our books like the year 2000 and what to expect. Yeah, I'm a technologist as well. And a lot of the things that were being spoken about 20, 30 years ago are now manifesting. And many people have to bear witness that this is the day and time we're living in. Now, people want to run to their, like you were saying, run to their God. But where is the help? Like, what's the plan? What's the answer? How are you going to survive this? That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to talk about.
Just talk about it, G. Let's talk about it. Take it away, Doctor. Dr. Jude, tell us. Let's talk about the practicalities right now, right here and now.
Okay, so on a basic level, we're talking about love and unity and organizing ourselves as a people, yeah? Coming together so that we can put our resources together so we can be in a position where we can deal with this thing. Because it's not going to say, oh, you know what, I'm going to leave you alone because you're the Coptic Church or you're the Nuapians or you're you know what I mean? When it comes down to it, you're dealing with these beings I'm talking about, these draconian beings, these Pleiadian beings that are now basically manifesting their plans of the New World Order. Yeah, they're manifesting their plans of the draconian measures. They put out a bill, as you saw the other day. The bill means that they can do anything to anyone and get rid of your body without you being able to contest it or have a say, right? These are the types of measures that we have to deal with. So it's not about how much knowledge we've got. It's like, okay, how will we go in to come together as a people practically to deal with this situation? We as Sabaeans or Nuapians, we have a Warner with us, yeah? And I believe you said the other day that my brother, and Doctor also recognizes that he's a student of the master teacher, Dr. Malachi Ziyot. So what I'm saying is everything that he has said for the last 40 years has come to pass. And I will always say that he's still here. He hasn't gone away, right? Though he may be incarcerated, something people don't want to even address or talk about. Why is he incarcerated? He's incarcerated because he's the one that has been pushing out this information and has the knowledge and the answers, known as the man of the hour. The hour starting from 1970, yeah, to 2030. Yeah, we've done the first half hour from 1970 to the year 2000. We're in the second half hour from the year 2000 to 2030. This is the showdown. This is the time where certain things are taking place. And we need to address these extraterrestrials, your Pleiadians, your Draconians, the dragon. Who's the dragon? You know what I mean? We talked about the crown. We were saying the coronation, the crown. These are the beings that know what's going on. The corona, the word corona, if you break it down, do your research, one of the meanings is crown. So all the way from the top down, these beings that, when we say extraterrestrial as well, let's just, you know what I mean, squash a myth. When we say extraterrestrial, people start to think about aliens. When we're saying an extra something on the terrestrial plane or the planet, which was once called Terra. Yeah. So extraterrestrial can be anyone or anything that is extra to this plane. So when people then start looking at the word alien from the word Ali, N, which is referring to the being that my brother mentioned, or they say An or Anu. Yeah, Anu is the most high being of the Sumerian doctrine. This is the same being that sent beings to this planet in groups of 50, where you get the word Anunnaki. But you also got the Nataru, our ancestors, who came here from Orion and from Sirius, and they settled in what people call Egypt today. But when you're dealing with the Egypt stories, or your Jesus and Mary and all these stories come from our ancestors. Yeah, some say Haru. Yeah, some will call that son Haru from, you know, the mother, who some will call Isis. And in the Sumerian doctrine, they will say Ishtar. And in the Sumerian doctrine, they will call him Tammuz, or his father Dumuzi. And so what I'm saying is, you got to go back and say, okay, we acknowledge, we've talked about the Nomos, yeah, the Dogons, they've recognized Sirius A, Sirius B. We know that our origins are from outside of this planet. God is outside of this planet. Jesus was outside this planet. We recognize that this is an extraterrestrial involvement, but we're still here, and there are people on this planet that have those extraterrestrial genes, known as Rh negative. Yeah, the Rh negative blood types are those beings, and you can take people's blood and test their DNA and test their blood type and find out who these people are. And they have an agenda, and this agenda is being played out now. And we, as the original beings on this planet, are not even organized and ready to deal with this agenda. Yeah, so that's what I think the show is really about. How are we going to deal with it? How's your God going to help you through this?
So as I think your comments there are spot on, my brother, and it's a very good question, hence why I raised it, because, you know, with all of these false indoctrinations that people have been clinging on to for, you know, centuries, you know, when a practical situation comes about, you need practical solutions. You know what I mean? And right. I've always said it, I've put it out on all the WhatsApp groups that I'm on. I've said it many a times. I've said we need players, not prayers. You know, it's about praying. And I said, what about the players? We need players, not prayers. And we need, you know, practical. It was interesting. I was watching something earlier, and what I was watching, this gentleman was just explaining, right, South African gentleman explaining that you will never, ever, ever, ever see a black man the head of a Chinese organization, a Chinese business, a Chinese organization. You'll never see it. You'll never see a black man the head of an Asian empire, you know, big Asian establishment. You're going to go into any Asian-owned business and at the top see a black man as a company director, right? But when it comes to our community and when it comes to our problems, we always look for somebody else to solve our problems. We're always waiting for somebody else to come up with solutions for our situations. And I just can't fathom the logic. Am I making sense? You know, we never have
a lot of sense.
Organization set up where we set up an organization with practical solutions for us, because who better, to have the solutions, the practical solutions for the problems that we face than the people that are actually facing them. You know, we always wait for somebody else to come outside and come up with a great idea that might solve our problem. You know what I mean? And I think this is what is lacking. I've often, and I'm throwing it out there now for those listeners, I've often said, you got to look to what's within inside you. You understand me? And too much time, we give too much power away to external sources. We give all the power to something external. And that power that we've given away to that external source, we're waiting for that external source to come and save us. When we have the power within ourselves to do miracles. You know what I'm saying? Another thing I've always said is that dreams are as big as your imagination. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. But these things go over people's heads. You know what I mean? So this is where I'm at. It's all about you know, taking responsibility. You know, I've always said that I don't want to be a boss. I just want to empower everybody around me to be bosses, because if we're all leaders, we can't lose. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? Vibes. What is your Vibes, Master? I'm going to ask you, and then, what's your opinion on practical solutions for the current epidemic that we are currently facing? It's that time today.
Well, you're not going to like my answer, my young brother. It's interesting hearing the conversation between yourself and Dr. Jude in relation to practical situation. Yeah, one of the practical situations is knowledge. Yeah, because they tell us knowledge is power over those who do not know. Yeah, and because many of us do not know, they're using their power right now. Yeah, utilizing knowledge to create laws to put us in the situation that we are in at this here present time. And as the scriptures say, oh, my people are dying because of a lack of knowledge. Also, knowledge conquers fears. Okay, so let's keep on track with the topic of what is God doing for people in this situation practically. Okay, now practically, many of the religious minds right now are utilizing Allah, God, Yahweh, Anere, the Most High, whatever.
I think we lost our doctor there. We lost him there.
Yeah.
That was a shame. That was just getting interesting. Hopefully we can get doctor back on the line. But in the meantime,
yeah, let me pick up then on what you were saying, that you know, you're saying that the practical, you know, the practical situation is, what are we doing? And we can talk about looking to someone else to come and save us, but what I'm saying is, like, if we say, all right, who is, because at the end of the day, there's a hierarchy, whether we like it or not. Just like they have their hierarchy, where you'd have like the prime minister or the president at the top, who is the person that, like, every day you're getting daily updates, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and they will bring their team, like the chancellor, to come and deal with the economic situation. They'll bring, you know, the health minister to deal with the situation with the health, right? We have to recognize that in our day and time right now, who is our president? Who is that person that's going to give the direction of what we need to do? And this is the point I'm making, that when it comes down to our family and you have the different organizations, they don't want to recognize who that being is in today's day and time, because of the egos, because of the, yes, you are a part, you have within you the divine within you, which makes a part of the puzzle, and you need to bring that. So when we really get down to it, we just got to come together. There's no point one person saying over there, like he was, my brother was just saying that, oh, Jesus, you're calling on Jesus. But when we start saying, all right, where is he? Let's break it down. Where's this Jesus that you're calling? What is he going to do practically when we're hungry, when we need a bag of rice? Yeah, they're going to say, oh, I prayed and I got the bag of rice. But no, you didn't. You had to either take your money out of your pocket that you work for and go buy that rice, or someone else who was looking out for you made that rice available to you. Yeah. But you were going to give that, you know what I mean? You're going to give that gratitude to some ghost. Ghost. That's what I call it. Because when you say someone's dead and they're no longer around, but yet they're still around, we call that, people say doppy. You know what I mean? You're going to say you're calling on a doppy to come and help you, when we know that it's unseen, can't be proven, right? So when you say, okay, I'm calling on Allah, we want to know, where is this Allah? Who is he? You know what I mean? Yahweh. Even all the way down to people saying Ananre or Anunre. Who's that? Where is he? Do you know what I mean? Because these are just words and titles. We have amongst us, as Sabaeans or Nawapians, we have an incarnate being amongst us. He's still here right now. And I told you, I posted the link. He gave an update on what's really going on. And that's what I'm saying, that when it comes to Sabaeans, this is not something we just woke up today and we're talking. We've been talking this 40, 50 years. Do you understand? And you have students who were once, because you can say, I'm a student of the master teacher, or you can say, I was a student of the master teacher. Are you still a student of the master teacher today? Are you still following? Are you up to date? Are you up to date with the information? Because he's told us where we're going to go. He's told us how we're going to get there, but that's not going to be information we're just going to divulge over the air, because he knows. You know that, mum's the word, yeah? He's told us what we need to do. You know what I mean? I want to know, what other people are telling us what to do and where to go and how to deal with this situation. We can gather in groups, but then you're saying you're a student. Student of who? Every leader that I can name, we can go from Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Noble Drew Ali. You know, we can name all of these leaders. They were all students. And in this day and time, you're dealing with all of them were students of the great Tahuti, right? In ancient times, and this is the being that has put out all the knowledge on this planet, which became your religious doctrine. So these tablets, like the Enuma Elish, anything I say that I think is kind of hard, I'll put it in the chat, right? The Enuma Elish, Enuma, I'm spelling it.
I'm back.
Yeah, Enuma Elish. You can look at the Gilgamesh epics. These are all scrolls that have formed your religions today. There are many, many scrolls, ancient scrolls. A lot of them were found in Iraq. This is why they had to get rid of the evidence and destroy a lot of this evidence.
I don't want me to cut you, the good doctor, by any stretch of your imagination, but I'm just looking at the time. I know we've got 10 minutes left, and I want to kind of round it off and leave them with something, yeah. So
yeah,
I'm gonna bounce back to Vibes to make him pick up the point he was making. Depending on how that goes, I think we might end up going over, and then after that, once we've tackled this, I want to give a conclusion, because I like to leave with something for those that are certain, you know, because we've touched on the knowledge, and all this can go away, and it can all be researched, and it can all be referenced, you know, as I've said all week in the broadcast that we've done. We don't speak from opinion. This is unemotional. Yeah, we're just putting that information, or as we know, as people of understanding, the information out there. So that's all we're doing. We're just putting it out there. You can go and check it and research it. But Vibes, I want you to make the point you was making, because it was an interesting point you was making, my brother. And then me and the doctor will tackle that point, and then we'll see where we're at after that.
Okay, then. The point I was making was this. Yeah? There are many people using God, Allah, Jah, Jehovah, whatever title you use, in order to get through this situation. Okay? English, as we touched on, is a very tricky language. They taught us about concepts. They didn't teach us about precepts or principles. Yeah? And there are certain African principles which explain that the God that we're looking for is at the end of our own arm, our hand. That's us. Yeah? What we explain at the Holy Cryptic Church is that you have to learn, tune into the God within. And may I also add, yeah, as Dr. Judy Joseph explained, the great master teacher, Baba Tumray, known by many as Dr. Malak, the last books he wrote, What is Soul, What is Spirit? Okay, this is one of the last books he wrote. And he made it very clear in this book, okay? Dr. Malachi Z. York, Baba Tumray, made it very, very clear in this book. And unlike many of his students, I got up, went and met the man, shook the man's hand, had a conversation with the man physically. Many people talk about him and never ever knew him or met him. I did, yeah. I can say that I sat with the African masters, okay? Yeah. One of the last books he made it very, very clear. And a person learns to come supreme through positive prayers, positive meditation, positive exercise, positive diet, cheerfulness, unselfishness, patience, being given, and always remembering, wait for it, always remembering the Almighty God. When you surrender all your love and all your will to the Most High God and stamp Jesus Christ forever in your heart, you'll be able once again to regain the use of the third eye. Page 140, What is Soul and Spirit? Written by Dr. Malachi Z. York. What did the master teacher mean when he explained this and when he said this about, yeah, making sure that you have the heart of the Most High Heavenly One and stamping Christ so that you can open your third eye? Well, he was talking about the Christ consciousness or the Christ consciousness. He was speaking about what is called in New Age the universal consciousness. This is what he was speaking about. And meditation, chanting, and prayer, what it does, it links or aligns your Arusha'at, known as your chakras, with the planet Earth and with the universe, so you can be in tune and at one with the signals our ancestors are transmitting to us via our nucleic acid, our RNA, and also our DNA. So prayer, meditation, cheerfulness, patience, which Dr. explained was missing in These things are fundamental and very crucial in this day and time for us to survive what it is we have to be going through. Things that we make very clear at the Holy Coptic Church of the Black Messiah is that we saints, just as we remember Credo Mutwa, just as we remember Dr. Layla Africa, just as we remember Baba Madiba Mandela, just as we remember Dr. Martin Luther King, just as we remember Bibi Welsing, just as we remember Ya Asantua, and we remember all of these Coptic saints because they left a temple. Say you, yeah, it has been left out there by our ancestors. When you utilize that term ancestors, you are talking about African precepts and you are talking about. Let me finish, bro. It's important. I heard everybody speak. You are talking consciousness, and that Christ consciousness is very important, dictating the 7 vials or the biological warfare that we are now facing right now, because it has been recorded by the guardian angelic host, so that we have practical solutions for this day and time. They knew it was coming. One of the ace. We have been warned so many times by a book called the Bible. In the book of salvation, called the book of Revelations, in ancient Africa, we knew it as the book of salvation. Yet we are not prepared and we are not ready for this day and time. We have explained via the Holy Coptic Church. You got to get that stone paving out of your garden. You got to start growing your own food. Anybody who has seen the panic that has taken place in relation to buying up food, yeah, we'll know why we explained it's very important for us to grow our own food. This is a practical solution put out by the Holy Coptic Church. Right about now, when we come out of this lockdown, we will
time out. With your slow internet, so you got a delay, man. Hey, brother, when you want to come on these calls, you got to get a faster internet connection, man, because you're slowing down my timeline. But yeah, thanks for that, my brother. You made some interesting points there. We will.
Bro.
Yeah, it's all recorded. Don't worry, we get it out there. I'm gonna come back to your practical solutions. Yeah. But we need to address the Christ consciousness. Dr. Judy Joseph, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Would you like to address the doctor in regards to some of the points he made?
Yeah, I mean, just want to touch on 1 or 2 points. Yeah, what he said is on point in terms of, you know what I mean, you got to start with you first. That's what the master always taught. You got to look in within, because you got to get yourself together before you can then work with other people. Like they said, the greatest love of all is within yourself, right? One of the things he mentioned about the book that the master wrote, the last book of Soul, Spirit, and Soul, it's not that it was the last book, because as I said, he's still here. He's still writing books, and he has gone on to write over 600 books since that book. So it's just very important to stay up to date and keep up to date with the current information, because that information is good and it's practical. But we have to also realize that he is still here. He hasn't gone away. He's still writing books, you know, and there are many books and new titles that have come along to expound and explain what we need to do today, nation building and so forth. We, as an organization, we have the practical tools. We have our own language. We have our own culture. We have our own foods that we eat, our own dress. We have, as recognized by the international world, we are a nation and we have our own land, you know. So these are the practical things. When it's time to build and we have our own, basically, we have everything that makes you a nation. You understand? So these are the practical things that we're dealing with right now. It's not going back to the old doctrines and information. That's good, but we need to come together and deal with today. You know what I mean? Today, like where do you go right now? This is why we set up the African Cultural Center. That's a place you can come, and you come and you get the books so you can read them. you can get the seminars, you can get the food, you can get the clothes, you can get the natural remedies, and the natural products are going to help you get through this. Do you know what I mean? And then we can also give you things that can only be said from mouth to ear. Where we're going to meet, where we're going to go, you know, these kind of things, because you can't tell, you know what I mean? The FBI don't tell you they're ace. They don't show you the ace, you understand? Our ace, we keep close to our chest for those who are really about working to make a difference. You understand?
Can I just touch on it? I've deliberately, you know, Ace got talk. I've got a lot to say. And I've said it all already, to be honest with you. I've got over 500 videos on YouTube. You can check out my channel, Ace Got Talk. And I've said for months, that, you know, you got to look to the God within, you know. God, you know, even if we go back to the religious texts, whether we go to the Quran or the Bible, because I've read them all, you know, the Quran says, Surah Baqarah, that God created man with free will, you know. If you know the compulsion. So we know that we've got the ability to make choices, you know, and a lot of people don't make those choices until they have to. So I'm talking about being proactive rather than reactive. And you get it. And to this particular corona epidemic, to me, because we're soldiers, and we've been on the battlefield, you know, where you know. So to me, it's just an exercise. You know, it's just an exercise. You know, for those in the know, you know, okay. How do we adapt? How do we change? How do we operate? I put all the stuff out there already. I said people talk about survival of the fittest, and I've always said it's not about survival of the fittest. It's about survival of the most suitable. You know.
Can you touch on a couple of quick points you made? And what we're talking about, your love and your heart beginning with yourself. Yes, that's the start of the journey. But then you got to go and meet with like minds. You know what I mean? You said something about free will. This is a religious concept again, because they say you have free will, but every decision you make has a consequence. So you say, oh, it's my will and I'm making a decision, but you're not, because every decision you make will have a consequence, whether it's negative or positive. So it's not about, oh, I'm going to be saved because I've got my own free will and I'm going to make the choice, but are you making the right choice? Do you know what I mean? This is where, if you say, okay, God says I've got free will, can I choose not to believe in God? They say no. But you said I had free will. So how is it free? Because I think you're getting something confused. You have free will, so you have the choice to make any decision you want to make. Okay. But my point is, what decision you make will have a result.
That's right, but you still have the choice to make that decision. Every action has every action has a reaction, you know.
Exactly. What I'm saying is, let's make the right choice then. How do you know that this choice you're making is right or wrong? That's my point. Because
that ties into the whole concept of this show, which is Where's Your God Now? Because there's people that have been hanging on to Jesus for years, and you can't tell them anything outside of Christ, you know. And as far as as we know, the Bible, we've both read it, you know, it says that in the last days, when it all goes off, you know, Jesus Christ is going to come out of the sky on a unicorn, you know, the blonde hair, like the Head and Shoulders advert, blue eyes, blonde hair, and he's going to come out on his unicorn and he's going to save the day, right?
That's mythology.
It's mythology, you know, and there's many other people that get caught up in many other religious dogmas and all kinds of practices that they believe are going to have some type of spiritual benefit. So, and I'm just using
spiritual language, spiritual bag of rice. When you're hungry, you ain't got no food to eat. Right. You know what I mean? You can pray. Sorry, go on.
The practicality, where I use the term free will is what I'm doing with these two hands. I'm using my hands and my mind and my brain and my common sense to actually make
guide you.
Happen. Make things happen.
To guide you to the right place and right things
I'm not
to do.
that they're praying, right? This is what the concept, even in the analogy when we look at certain religious scriptures, when they talk about God giving man free will, is you don't sit there and pray and say, please, God.
That's what I'm saying. It's about what you do and are you doing and making the right decision. We seem to have lost the antidote. So just to round off.
Let's summarize. And you leave the people with I actually wanted to ask you, because I don't think we really covered it, but let me give you one more question and then a summary. This is the big one now, for those that are still in tune. Give me we talked about language, and we know that in different languages, I mean, in Allah, in Arabic, is the English converted as God. You know, some people say Jah, Jehovah, etc. Christ, Christos, the anointed one in Greek. We could go all over the place with the different words and where they came from and what they originally meant, blah, blah, blah. But simple, using the common terminology which everyone refers to as God, or maybe some say the creator, but we're making reference right now in this definition to the creator of the heavens and the universe and everything within. I'm asking you, Dr. Judy Joseph, what is your definition of God?
Right. Firstly, as you said, we're using English, so it's not my definition, right? So the word God, depending on which language you're coming from, can be translated as Elohim. It can be translated as Adonai, Yahweh. It can be translated in many different ways. It could be translated depending on which language you're coming from. And the point being is that you have a hierarchy. It's not just a one, because we like to say the creator, like there's only one, because when you put the in front of a word, you're saying a definite article. In our culture, we have ancestors, right, who basically are people who gave birth to children. And we are the children of those ancestors, referred to as the Natharu. And depending on how far back you go, these beings came from different, because remember, you got the planet, you got the skies, you got constellations, you got universe, you got multiverses, omniverses. So depending on how far back you're going, these beings will take on different forms. The highest form that we can use to explain what we're saying is Etherians, right? An Etherian is a pure energy being. That's why no matter how you break it down, all your gods, all your physical things always go back to energy, right? Energy, when you combine all energy, that is the most powerful thing you can have. And we refer to that as 9 ether, which is the conscience and conscious gases. This is why we set up Nashat. The word Nashat means energy. Because when you go past your little gods and your Jesuses and Muhammad's and all of that, they break down into energy. So what energy are you tapping into? Because there's positive and negative energy. You understand? So basically, so we have to tap into that energy. And these beings, elemental beings, manifest from the etheric realm and can take on humanoid and human form, come into the physical. So you can have DNA, RNA, so that you can have children and so forth. So that's why I said that the word God is quite vague. You have to go into the language and go into who you're talking about. Every culture will give you the same name, the same beings, but in different names. So so basically, we first of all have to recognize ourselves as being the divine. Then we recognize our parents and the mother, because the mother is the one that gives birth to us. So we have to recognize the feminine, the female, and we both, male and female, have both male and female within us, XY and XX chromosomes. So when you start breaking things down scientifically, you get above the basic information which you find in the Bible. So someone might just be starting out, and it's okay for them to learn about God and Jesus and whatever, but then they're going to ask questions. Who is this God? Who is this Jesus? Who is this Allah? You're talking about 6,000 years ago. These books started from 6,000 years ago. We are not a 6,000 year people. We are here from, we don't even have a birth date. You know what I mean? Going billions and millions of years back. So we have one amongst us, the great Tahuti, or the incarnation of Tahuti, who is the most wisest person on the planet, known to most as Dr. Malachi Z. York, but his real name is Baba Yananan. And this being is teaching us. That's why I say we've set up a center where you can come and plug in back to your culture to know and learn who and what you are, because that's the first step. Once you know who and what you are, then you act and behave like a divine being, because a supreme being is a being that knows what they're doing and know how to utilize the love, the heart, the mind, the brain. You got to know what you're doing with these tools. And then you meet with like-minded people, and then you guys can work together to do what you need to do to basically survive. We've survived many, many times before. remember, this planet has gone through many changes, which they might pick up in the Bible as floods, or, do you know what I mean? A meteorite shower came, you know what I mean? What do you say? Yeah, plagues and pestilence and diseases, you know what I mean? And these diseases, as I said in the last show, are being put here by certain extraterrestrials because they need to wipe out the population to a certain degree. Yeah, I know you're gonna round off, so let me leave it there.
That was amazing. You've gone over time. There's a lot to dissect among what both of the information that you brothers have put out in this conversation, which I thank you both for your time. So God bless you both. For those that have just logged on, once again, we've been doing this all week. So we started this week with in the TV studios, A Scott Talk, Media Net TV, a Philly show, and I had the Doctor, aka the Vibes Master, 20-year radio presenting veteran, voted the most informative radio presenter for the last 20 years. Shout out to the Doctor, also me and the Doctor, both radio presenters on.
We got solutions, Ace.
The Dream Team, that's 99.8 FM. And then also, following that show, we've done various live streams all week, Media Net TV. I've been thankful to be joined with the Doctor. You can catch up and find all our previous shows throughout the week on MediaNet.tv on the YouTube. You can also find us on MediaNet TV on Facebook. Those are only temporary. The full MediaNet TV full website and platform will be up very shortly. Guys, I'm going to say I love you and leave you forever. Join me on Monday where I'll be back in the TV studio. When in fact, Monday, firstly, I will be on Supreme 99.8 FM, 1 till 4 for the Talk Business Community Entrepreneur Show. We'll be covering the latest roundup of what's been going on in the news and in the media for the last 7 days. And then after my radio show, 1 till 4 Supreme 99.8 FM, I'll be on the big, bad MediaNet TV. We're going to be filming live, broadcasting live from the studio. You can send us all your comments. You can call in. If anybody wants to do a live video link, and link up into the studio and have a live conversation, contact us, and we can get you to beam in live on the MediaNet TV, A Spot Talk, a Philly show. Join me Monday evening. We're gonna go live from 6 p.m. The usual time's 8, but in fact, we'll go live 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Monday, A Scott Talk, a Philly show live. Join me then. Until then, stay blessed, stay strong.
Can I just say something quick, Ace, before you round off, where they can find more information with us? With the coronavirus, we're limiting what we're doing at the moment. So obviously, we appreciate any support. Go to nashat.co.uk/support-us if you want to help us, if you want to know more, if you want to. We're going to have to keep doing more of these shows, you know, Ace, because there's just so much information and we can't give it all in a short space of time. And really, for religious people, I put a quote in there, Revelation 3:14, because Revelation is dealing with the times that we're supposed to be in, even though that gone long time, but people don't know that. But anyway, Revelation 3:14, check that out, because it talks about...
Can I just say something? 3:14, that's pi. 1314.
I know. That's why I said it on purpose. Yeah. The secret information for those who know, and that's why I put it in there, you know. So check that out. Yeah. We're doing a lot of all what we do is free. We don't really charge people for the workshops and stuff we do. It's all free, you know. So we're self-funded, and for us to continue doing this, we'd appreciate people, you know, come with questions so that, you know, we can help you, because the only way you're going to unravel the mystery and the spaghetti of misinformation in your head is to do your research and ask questions. So, yeah, thanks again for having me on the show, and I look forward to the next one.
Yes, my brother. Vibes Master, do you want to say something with your chippy internet delay?
We say in the master, we bow to the divine or the divinity within you for the connection. Yeah, I don't know what happened or why it happened. That Revelation 3:14, I'll put in what it said originally in the original books of the Bible. Yeah, the book of Revelation, which we knew as the book of salvation, Bar Injil, and that 3:14, that's the English edited version What
And
did
unto
the
the
African
angel
version say? Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll put it in so you can read what you got and you can read what we teach at the Holy Coptic Church. Many thanks for having us here. Yes, we have to do it again, and we'll make sure we got a great internet connection, because there's a lot more that I wanted to espouse on in terms of practical solutions. Yeah, because we got an abundance of practical solutions around here that unfortunately we wasn't able to elaborate on. And one of the other things I want to make clear, especially to Dr. Jude, Baba Tumre made clear he was not the only one. There would be others after him, and that the ancestors would be walking amongst us. One of those we have walking amongst us today is Barsesh Haru Hotep Ta, the Gabriel or Jibrail of this day and time. Gabriel is the bringer of the scriptures. This is why we have the original books of the Bible in this day and time, because Gabriel brings the scriptures in the right order, by the sheath. Yeah,
Right,
the original books of the Bible,
we're
the
gonna leave
ancient
it there,
African
but you
version.
said a
So
very
Baba
important word.
Tumre, Dr. Malachi Z. York, made very clear that there would be others.
Yes, after him. After. The word
That
after
there would be
means once
others
he's gone.
who would
He's not
also be walking
left, bro. And there
to
are
give
other
us
scriptures. I'm not saying
practical
that.
solutions,
So,
and
he's choppy. I can't really hear what
also not only to give us practical solutions,
All right, vibe,
okay,
round up, my brother.
not only to give us practical solutions, but also to warn us, yeah, about what we have to do and get prepared for and what we're walking through. And with that, I hope to see you all again. See you on Monday, Ace. All right, for a coronavirus special. And remember, yeah, you bow to the divine or the divinity within you, as above, so below, as within, so without. Namastu. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep you, Ace. I just want to touch on one quick one. He said, the master teacher said, after. You have to recognize the word after means after he has gone. He's still here. So we can pick up this another time, but
This is because it's gone over an hour, and it's rather keep it short and sweet and leave everybody wanting more. But brother, if you want to join me on the TV studio Monday evening, MediaNet TV, I can have you and Vibes in the studio. You know, because Vibes is coming down again, so you're more than welcome to join us. And if not, we could do a live, maybe a link up. You know, it'd be better if we got everyone in the studio, then we can have a little, we can get a little debate there. And remember, with my knowledge, if we give them too much in one go, it can be a bit mind blowing. So we've got a lot packaged in that hour 20 minutes. Let them digest that. Let that marinate over the weekend.
Correct consciousness.
Yeah, that's right.
Correct consciousness.
And then we'll come back. So for now, guys, give me a engineer, give me a home screen. I'm gonna do my little Jerry Springer roundup, because I Jerry Springer, right? And at the end, Jerry used to do this. All right, this is Ace Scott Talk. So I'm gonna do my Fugu show roundup. So the question asked today is, where is your God now? And the two doctors have joined me, and they've done a good breakdown of religion, monotheism, and everything that goes, the isms, the schisms, the Judaisms, the Hinduisms, and just giving you a lot of information for you to go away, digest, dissect. Don't take my word for it. Don't take the doctor's word for it. Go and do your research. So we gave you a good breakdown. Towards the end of this interesting conversation, when we lost Vibes Master, I asked Dr. Judy Joseph, I said, what is your definition of the creator and the universe? And you know, we went up the hierarchy scales, but the ultimate conclusion and definition, I think, was energy. It's got talk. Do the maths. Join me Monday. It's got talk. MediaNet TV, a fully show. We'll be talking about coronavirus and asking any questions you have to ask. Until then, stay blessed. Salute. Brilliant. Thank you very much.